Welcome to DroneCast, rethinking public safety one drone at a time, a podcast by DroneSense. We explore real-world applications of drones and emergency response, offering a close examination of evolving trends in drone technology and its impact on public safety. I'm your host, John McLeod, Director of Customer Success here at DroneSense.
Welcome to DroneCast, everyone. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Lee Newman, a seasoned leader in the integration of drone technology within the fire service. With 27 years of experience in the London Fire Brigade, Lee has evolved from a firefighter to a station officer and now serves as the drone project lead, responsible for the growth and expansion of drone operations across the brigade. His journey began after witnessing the impactful use of drones during the Grenfell Tower fire. Igniting his passion for the transformative technology, Lee's extensive operational background combined with his innovative approach to utilizing drones in emergency situations positions him as a critical voice in enhancing public safety. What truly sets Lee apart from his commitment to pushing the boundaries of what drone technology can achieve in firefighting and rescue operations, he has spearheaded numerous projects, including the drone operations of hundreds of occasions to survey incidents and improve operational efficiency. Currently, Lee is exploring cutting-edge developments in 4D mapping and augmented reality to enhance training for new firefighters. His vision extends to creating a UK Pacific version of drone responders named UK AERO to further support fire service across the nation. Join us as we dive into Lee's insights into overcoming challenges and exploring drone capabilities and his vision for the future of drone operations and public safety. Welcome, Lee, to DroneCast.
Thank you very much. What an introduction that is.
Well, we're so happy to have you here. This is going to be great. I'm real excited to ask you a few questions. We're going to start with a few opening ones and work through here and dive into this. And it's going to be this is a great moment for everyone listening across the world, in your nation and our nation, and all this amazing technology across there, just hearing real stories and insights. So super excited here. Lee, after 27 years in the London Fire Brigade, what initially inspired you to pursue a career in firefighting, and how has your motivation evolved over the years?
So, as most people would probably do in their families when they've got brothers and stuff, is that you look to see what they're doing and if it looks good. One of my brothers went to university. Unfortunately, I didn't study hard enough at school to go to university. My other brother joined the armed forces. And then when he came out after the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, he joined the Fire Brigade. And I was like, that's what I want to do. I've always been an outdoor person like yourself, chatting to you about mountain living and stuff like that. And I like jobs that are different every day. And, you can never predict what you're going to get. And for us, that is what the fire service is like. So as a young 20-year-old, I decided to go for it. And I was lucky enough to get in first time. And that was 20 years ago. And I've always motivated myself by pushing myself, always never get comfortable with what you're doing. You train up to be a firefighter and then I become a driver and then you think, what else can I do? Then you specialize in, say, heavy rescue, which is like cutting people out of cars or people from major incidents. And then with promotion and just always changing what I do just to keep myself on my toes. And that's what's driven me through my whole 27 years, really. And then obviously just when I thought I'd done a lot of the stuff I wanted to do, along came the drone job, which has like literally driven me, and that will drive me post-retirement as well. So it's all good.
Wow, that's awesome, Lee. And it's funny, I see this, you have such an excitement and there's just so much interesting new tech and it just keeps evolving, right? And so on. I have a similar story even, but not in public safety, of how drones came along and you just continue to run with it. It's such a fun new chapter that we're in, right? And there's just so much new stuff and tech and using these incredible pieces of, as plastic, as Coy Kessler on our team would say, but flying pieces of plastic in these amazing ways and as a tool to help in public safety. That's amazing.
We called it boys with toys, they called it. But we are literally still at the scratching the surface stage of what drones are going to be doing for us in the future. And the exciting thing is it's just being part of that evolution. I've literally gone from implementing it with no drone skills to where I am now. And as I say, we've literally barely scratched the surface of where they're going to be going in the future. So mega exciting times.
When you began your journey with drone technology, after witnessing its application during the Grenfell Tower fire, could you share what that experience was like for you and how it shaped your vision for integrating drones into fire operations?
Yeah, so obviously the events themselves were like the worst incident the London Fire Brigade had pretty much since the Second World War. We'd had some incidents close to it, but that was definitely the worst death toll that we've had. But on the day, I wasn't there in a operational fire capacity. I was there for the urban search and rescue section. So we got there just to start sizing up. We had to mitigate all the risks from the town because obviously a lot of debris, falling windows and stuff that still had to be made safe. So our neighbouring county, Kent Fire Rescue Service, had been flying their drone for that situational awareness, what we called it now, situational awareness. So they would fly the drone up, they'd have a look around the tower, they'd land, they'd pinpoint stuff, land the drone, they'd give me the SD card, I'd then run to our command unit, and then I'd brief up urban search and rescue crews and say, right, on the 14th floor, we've got a window in the precarious position. Can you take it up or take it out? And then looking through the footage, I say, like, we've got another, some concrete that might fall. Can you deal with that? And then that's how using a drone to get up there to look from the outside, because it was very dangerous on the inside as well. And obviously you couldn't get on the outside. And that's how we worked all day. And that was our very first introductions to drones. And then as after every major incident, you have to do a debrief, and the London Fire Brigade did a really big debrief. And then one of the recommendations were that we implement drones going forward. And I know that drones had been, I think, the earliest known department. I think that LA started the first drone program maybe back in 2009. So it was already like really 8 years behind the curve. And then that was our start point. And we were still a lot quicker than some of the other cities that are getting drones now. So, and that weirdly fell on to me to do the drone project. It was like, when everything settled, it was like, right, can you look into drones? And I was like, okay.
Man, sounds great. And like, it's like you find that aha moment, right? Where you're like, oh, wow. Or even the team members, when you show this kind of this incredible technology and how it's immediately utilized like that, that's amazing. Well, Lee, you've had a remarkable career. Can you share how your journey led you to take on the position of drone project lead, and what motivated that transition?
So just following on from the previous statement about the Grenfell fire. So once the dust had settled, it was work streams, and it was like, right, can you take on the drone project? And I'd be like, oh, I've never touched drones in my life before. It's just one of those, right, well, you're going to have to go and make something happen then, really. But that's fine. I'm a go-getter. I'm a doer. So what I did is I brought someone in who knew about drones. So one of my friends, his families have got an aerial TV company. So they'd been using drones in that respect. So I brought him in, Simon Stretch, very valuable person to have in the team, because they already knew 50% of what I needed to know. So the other 50% was, let's go and talk to other departments that have already got drones, whether it be in the UK, the US, Europe, and let's see how they've got to where they are now, so we can cut out that bit, so you're already like ahead of the curve by 20% by the time you get going. So all the basics were get a drone license, get some drones, search the market, get a delivery option. Once you've nailed those three things and a bit of the legislation with safety and risk assessments, you're pretty much good to go. So in fire brigade terms for us, it was 0 to 9 months. That's how quick it took us to get off. I know some people say 9 months, but anybody who's worked in a big establishment will know that it's to get through all of those hurdles, it takes ages. But we was actually lucky that we had a lot of push from our chief officer at the time, and we just had, the impetus to get it all sorted. All the boxes all the I's were dotted and all the T's were crossed. And then do you want me to tell you about our first incident? Because our first incident actually was the flag in the sand moment. So it's all about proving the capability for drones. That's what people will go, oh, actually, we'll have them then. So the tower fire was like, we need to have them because of that. But going forward as well, you've got a 4-week trial. So our very first incident when we went live, it was a leisure centre under renovation. So they was just finishing the touches of it. And we got called, I think in America they call them alarms, 6 alarm fires, but for us it's like 6 pumps, so six machines on. And there's a word that the fire brigade hate, and it's cylinders. When cylinders are mentioned, it's really a bad day at the office, because you have to put a 400-metre cordon in, get everyone back, close roads. It's really bad for business continuity. And someone said there's 4 cylinders on the roof. And I was like, okay, let's get the drone up. So we just turned up, put the drone up. We got the officer in charge, overlooking the shoulder. Oh, Gov, it's actually just rolls of roof felt, but stacked. So there's 4 rolls of roof felt. It wasn't cylinders. Those are, thank God for that. Closed it. I didn't have to press that horrible button. And then that proved that situational awareness from the drone was the key to that incident not being bigger than it was. And I could go forward and say, that has proved the concept. So that's where we ran from then on.
Something you had mentioned was reaching out to your friend who's had the aerial drone program and so on, and it echoes so much that in this industry, and it sounds like with you too, that learning more about this technology or where do I get started, there's this community that everyone is either asking questions, looking for, want to know, and when you become these kind of like points like yourself, that you can share that kind of information on or ask those questions, it is all about community.
Yeah, could I just touch on the community? Because I reached out to our US colleagues and I met Charles Werner. Charles Werner was a massive implementation of the drone responders group that you've got out there now. And then you've seen pop-up groups since. You've got AERO in Europe, you've got Sarah in Canada, and we're just about to go live with a group because informate that the drone world may seem big, but actually it's so small. So the key people, like the people that I've met are like Rich Katanis, Michael Leo from New York, Charles Werner, Chris Tubb, all the people that are in Tim Martin from Leader, all the people that you can draw that information on. You can share it so quickly, and then you can then involve your own programs that much quicker. And the information sharing across the world, which, as I say, we've got our own group now from all those leads, is priceless, really, to get that information out so good and quick.
Well said. So, Lee, throughout your career, you've been involved in pioneering and testing various safety technologies. How does your previous experience with equipment like smoke detectors, life aids, influence your approach to implementing drones in fire operations?
So I think I wouldn't just say a fire thing. I think it's a fire, police, or public service. You think we've got this kit, but now we've got a new piece of kit. How do we make that old piece of kit work with this new piece of kit? Are they compatible? And you sit there and days when you've got no incidents going on where you're all bored and you think, oh, what should we try some stuff? So it's just a matter of, in the water, there's 2 videos that I've got out on LinkedIn, posted a few years ago. One was, and they're called rest tubes. So the rest tube themselves come from the world where you can put them on kids when kids fall in the water and they expand. So they obviously say to kids, you can throw them in and they activate on water. And I was thinking, well, could you deliver that from a drone? Because if you could, then you've got the ability to be able to then fly them out and drop them. And then so he's like, well, let's try it.
Yeah, and it compressed, right? Like a compressed piece payload and be able to drop it.
Well, it's about as big as that phone. I slip it to the bottom, and then you fly over instant. You can use the camera to find we're calling them the casualty. When you're over them, then you drop it, and then it expands, and then they've got something to keep head over. Now, I know that has been used not from my video, obviously, because I find that everyone gets to the same end line eventually. So, like the Coast Guard would probably use lifeguards, like a pool area or sort of a lake, that sort of area. So another recommendation from Grenfell was the smoke hoods. I don't know if they use them in the US, but basically, if you've got a fire situation, you go in, you put a smoke hood over a person that's in the fire, that's the smoke environment. They've got 15 minutes on them, and you can get them out. I think in the US, they share their air a lot, but this was like a safety method. And so again, I was like, well, how can we get them up to people in height? And there was a particular drone that had a cage on there. So I was like, well, if we attach it to that, like we did the rest tube, fly it in, drop it, and then use the other drone with a speaker to then tell the person how to put it on using a tunnel system. So we did a few trials like that, and that worked. And it just goes on like that, like throw lines to get them over like a stretch of water to then pull the gear across or anything. If you can think it, do it, basically. It's basically how we end up getting these like contraptions going,
That's great. Always looking to be innovative. And sometimes those down days turn into big ideas, right?
I tell you now, if you speak to Rich in Florida, they was doing those blowing up drones for the sake of hazmats and stuff. It's cracking me up.
Actually speaking with him tomorrow. I'm excited. Yeah. Well, excellent. Well, I'm sure you've received some pushback while trying to integrate drone technology in your department. What specific challenges have you incurred, and how do you navigate these obstacles to advocate the benefits of drone usage in firefighting?
So, I mean, again, every public safety team will have the dinosaurs, right? They'll be like, well, drones don't put fires out. We've never had drones before, but we've still managed to do the same thing. You're like, correct, we have. And I'm pretty sure, we could keep going down that road and never evolve. We could still put fires out, I'm sure, and we could still do the stuff we're doing, sure. But actually, Now we're getting in the world that drones are actually doing stuff that will protect firefighters, wipe up firefighters into places where you can put drones. We should really be thinking, actually, would you rather lose a drone or a firefighter just to check a cylinder that looks a bit dodgy in a fire situation, or do I put that drone into the water instead of a swimmer? So the way to get around that is to do, I called it lots of show and tell. So you go out and you go into like officers who have to make these decisions to use this or not, and educating and showing, and basically like showing them the drop mechanism, or actually, Gov, this is a fire that you can't see anything through the smoke cloud, but I can now tell you through that smoke cloud where's exactly where that heat source is for you to then make rapid deployment of water or troops, that sort of thing. They're like, oh yeah, and you can see the penny drop.
The proof is in the pudding, right? Like you can really show this. Yeah.
I would say to any department who's still at the beginning of their journey that are really trying hard to convince their others, ask other departments to come in and show them footage, ask for footage, just say, look, actually this drone did something that would have cost a firefighter's life, but that drone is only like £2,000 and we can buy that again, but you can't replace someone's life. And there's loads of situations like where we should be putting drones now. You've got Spot the dog. If it's still called Spot, the Boston Dynamics dog, that's going to go into loads of situations. Nobody has to go in anymore. And this is the education you need. And lucky enough, we're on that cusp now where, and I do want to say, obviously the dinosaurs are starting to leave, but the new people, this is what they've known. So now you'll get in there, well, we've always had drones, so push them on.
It's no longer just a toy, like boys with toys, right? It is a tool. It's a form of safety. It is a mechanism. Like it is. The perspective of this is definitely changing a lot. I'm sure you've had to go through some of that.
Exactly what you say. We still get called boys with toys, but actually these perform way more serious functions now than just flying it around like your office or your station yard, And
we still go out and do that, though. It's not,
Of course, yeah. You've got to train, right?
It's still a great time. I just need to get my hands on Spot the dog and Boston Dynamics. If you hear this, just, bring one over. Well, good stuff. Now, you've mentioned observing growth in drone operations within other departments. What lessons or insights have you gained from those experiences that you believe would be applied to your own initiatives in the London Fire Brigade?
It's hard because I've got my eye constantly on what people do with drones around the world. It's really hard because I would take them all and push them into the forest areas, but you've got this big thing called a budget and people's first hunger for kit. So don't get me wrong, we've got the hunger for the kit, but we just haven't got the budget for the kit. Right? So it's now trying to do stuff maybe on a budget. So again, I'll go back to Rich and Scott, who were pioneering the hazmat drones. Right. So to buy a hazmat drone with a sensor will be upwards. So say the sensor's 15 grand on top of a drone that's 10 grand. That's £25,000 worth of kit. Now, not a lot of people have got that kit, but what can we do? So again, it's like the boys have been doing. Well, let's put a GoPro bracket on, let's put a little gas detector on it that you've got on your machine already, and let's fly that instance to do. And it's something where it works. Of course it works. Well, you could put one on, I think they actually made a carbon leg for one of their gas detectors, then used the camera to read whatever was been on the detector, and then using it and then looking on the remote. So there's landing it, having it as a remote sensor, and then reading off the findings and things like that. Are like, wow, I can do that on a budget. So I can still do not all of the stuff that the big expensive drones do, but I've got a capability, and that's what it's all about, just having a capability. Indoor drones, that's a massive curve at the moment. So there's a guy in Belgium called Tom Palmer's, definitely worth having him on this show, but he's pioneering indoor drone use and what you can do with it. So DJI have got there's probably about 3 indoor drones you've got. You've got the Arrowhead, you've got the Brink, and then you've got the 2 DJI Avata 1 and Avata 2. What we haven't got on the Avata 1 and Avata 2 is in thermal image and built-in lights. It's almost like they built the perfect indoor drone for first responders, but just didn't add the 2 bits on it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I constantly talk to DJI about that, and it is remarkable though. I mean, it is a consumer product. It was supposed to be a fun FPV, but there's so much you can use it for, and the Lemur and Helios. I mean, the list goes on, and it's just like your perspective on this, and actually using each of these and seeing how they actually work and if they work in this situation. You'd mentioned perching, like landing a drone inside of a situation and just being that perspective and that situational awareness and a camera or a sensor or whatever can add to it. Then there's the whole budget cost and what's cheap. There's a lot of things you got to work on.
Exactly. But just to quickly piggyback what you're about to say, is the Lima brilliant, expensive, good for police work, patch work. Would I want to lose that in an incident for the fire brigade at the cost it goes? Probably not. The Arrowhead is a good drone. Again, but would I risk losing one of those in an urban search and rescue job? Probably not. But an Avata at £500 per unit, okay, I can warrant it. And I could probably get, if it's a life-saving mission, I could probably warrant losing it. And then going on the fiddling around with things. So Tom's inventing lights, he's inventing IR and all that sort of stuff, just to sort of push a little bit more. So, but we've got to think of them all as tools in the toolbox as well, in that respect.
Now, you've been exploring the potential for indoor drone flying. What are some unique challenges and opportunities you foresee with this initiative, particularly regarding training and operational procedures?
Yeah, it's a good one, because operational procedures now, again, we're looking around to see who's doing what and learning from what. Leader have just released SOPs. I don't know if they're like official out there or if it's just a note that I've read, but they've released like ways of doing stuff as a standardized pushing drones indoors. Now that's the law enforcement way. Then you've got the fire brigade way, but then someone's going to write SOCs for putting fire brigade drone and like indoor drones, and how because we're using them in a massively different context. So police are looking for the bad guy and possibly with a firearms team to go in and do the early sort of heads up. Maybe they're doing the purge. Fire brigade, I'm going to go look for trapped victims or people that are stuck. Not necessarily in fire situations. So we're going to standardize in SOPs within the fire service. And again, this is where working as a global unit within, you're the same across the world. You've just got FAA, we got the CAA, and they got ESA. But really, our core role is all the same across the world. And so we could learn massively. But with the indoor stuff, again, you're talking about training. But I don't mean to keep plugging them. I'm not plugger for companies. But they've just released a Neo. Now, the Neo is like the perfect training drone before you even get onto the expensive drone. You can use all the same head, goggles, and stick for the Neo as you can for the Avata 2. But they're what, 60 quid, 100 quid a pop, maybe, in dollars. So then you can start teaching people how to use drone. And then once they get good, then you can get the Avata going. But I also am a big advocate of getting people who've never flown indoor to have a try. So like I set up a 2-day event every year, and people are like, I'm a bit scared about flying that drone in because I might crash it. Like, no, but I want you to crash it.
It's kind of like snowboarding. Like, you know you're going to crash. You know you're going to fall. Just know that and just do it gracefully.
Exactly. But like the thing is, if you don't push yourself to try, it's like anything. If you don't push yourself to try something, you'll never take it on. But then you just see the penny drop. So they're trying, they're flying, they've hit a wall, they've probably sucked into the side, and then suddenly they get it and they're like, we need these in our department. We need to take this back. So that's what happens. And that's what's good about the hands-on practical 2-day sort of events that I try and push out.
I mean, to continue on this, you're planning a development of a UK Pacific version of drone responders called UK AERO. Can you elaborate on this, the goals for this initiative, and how it will address the Pacific needs and regulations for the UK market?
So again, the UK are a little bit, I don't want to sort of slate the UK because we are really good at doing stuff when we do it, but we're very insular as a country with regards to police do police stuff, fire do fire stuff, the rescue teams that are voluntary do their thing. And I look at what Charles has done over there and what Venzelin's doing in France and what Andy Olsen's doing in Canada. And you've got a big collective of people that come together to the different events, and they're just keen to learn, and that information just gets spread out so much quicker. And from the 2 days that I just told you about, when people come along, it's just like light bulb. They're like, oh, I love this. It's really good. I can get my hands on. People are talking to them. Then we get industry there as well. So then now they're there, they're learning from the end user again. So they'll go away and do stuff. And there's another guy out there called Darryl Ashford Smith who's just gone to the States to do a thing called the Churchill Fellowship. So he's gone out and he's gone to Leader and he's gone to Texas Public Summit and he's done a few others just to learn what's going on over there. And I said, Darryl, why don't we set a group up? We need to have a UK group based on drone responders, Sarah, another group, and let's bring everyone together. But what we're not going to do, and this is no reflection on other groups because I think you have to specialize in what you do, but we're going to be a practical focus group with some keynote speakers, basically like the Texas group do. So people come along. So there's an ROV specialist. Let's get Deep Drecker and some other companies in there. Have a go and see what it does And how can you build on the capability? Let's get the ground robots in, the ones that are very underdeveloped with the wildfire firefighting. You know, the ones I'm talking about, like tanks. Let's get people to see that. Let's fly drones and let's do the indoor stuff and let's get Spot and let's just get everyone together, including the voluntary, because they always say we don't get a voice. And that's correct, they don't, because there's no one like banging the drum for them. So let's get them all together in one place. Everyone's ever go on all the toys. Let's have some good keynote speakers there and then just share the love.
That sounds great. This is exactly it. When you're meeting with all these leaders that can provide all these valuable insights and such, could you maybe share some particular strategies or ideas you hope to discuss with them? And how do you believe international collaboration can enhance operations within public safety as a whole as well?
Well, I mean, just from the learning, we recorded the Global Emergency Responders Consortium, but it's just a fun group that I don't want to say main players because there's so many more people out there than we've got in our group, but like key figureheads, like, as I say, Rich, Brandon Carr, Scott McCullough, and Andy from there, the Norwegians. We've all come together and we just talk about stuff on there. So basically, the global network under one Teams group. And already, Canadians have learned something from the Norwegians about pilot selection and cognitive testing. I don't know if you've read anything that's come out about that.
I've seen this, haven't dived in it yet.
But how new is that? Like now we're cognitive testing potential drone pilots, to see. Because when you talk to everyone, it's like you either get pilots given to you, you've got to use them. And I'm not going to say that everyone I get given is the person that I'd necessarily choose, or you get given people that you can test within your own way and make up a test, you fly this drone and do some stuff. But now there's cognitive testing. Are you your aptitude for, operating Spot or doing this or doing that? And and adding on top of that, people skills, are you the right person? Because you could be a top-notch operator, but you just might not fit that mold. You've got to work in that dynamic group. But the global stuff out there is just like the learning to had, as I say, to be had, shall I say, is out there. It's so valuable that we need to bring it together and then just disperse it amongst. Because if you're at the top of a tree, so say I'm here and I'm getting the information from all these leads, then I'm just going to push it down and then push it down into everyone else, so that all that learning goes back,
trickles down to everyone.
Exactly, cascade it.
Are there any particular strategies and ideas you hope to discuss with everyone? And like from these leaders that you're meeting with, is there something like on your mind you would like to focus on?
Not to get too political on this, obviously, but I think the real threat losing a potentially big drone player with the DJI equipment, because there's not a lot of other companies that can keep the cost of the kit down and to give you the quality of the kit you get, And I know there are a lot of other drone companies out there, but a lot of teams, smaller teams, where you go and pick up a proven drone for a good price, they might not be able to operate if they're then got to go to a UK manufacturer who's having to charge double because they've got double the overheads. And I know this has probably been talked about on this podcast or other podcasts, but it's a real worry. And so we talk amongst us how we get what will happen. Do we lobby as a world united drone consortium and say, or do we wait and be, and no disrespect, do we wait and be led to see what happens in America before we come over here? Because a lot of our people will say, what's going on? Oh, they can't use them. Well, you can't use these over here.
It's a wild industry to be a part of, for sure. And it's just, there's constant change, and you just have to be always like ear and nose to the grindstone.
But if someone solved the puzzle before you have, then they can share that puzzle solution to you. So then you don't have to work it out on your own. And there's not a lot you'll find there's not a lot of people in this world that like, oh, it's my ball, I'm taking it, I'm going home. They actually share this sort of information.
There was something you had mentioned before about the receiving different drone operators and what that new program might be like and so on. And I've also trained a bunch of drone operators, and it's really interesting, like what your first steps are. And I always think it's fun, but I always get new operators to go home and play Nintendo for like at least a week, just to at least get stick control and dexterous and so on. But there's got to be some kind of test like that would be fully official. And it's like what you're saying. I'm real excited to understand more about it.
And you know what? Like from what the Norwegians doing, but imagine if you came up, actually, I've just tried something, and it is sure on the best way to like recruit people. Try this, and then we all try it, and you'll be like, you know what? That Joe was right.
UK AERO Nintendo drone game, whatever we're going to call it, but I like it. Well, good stuff. Now, you've become more vocal online about the important use of drones for public safety. How do you see social media and online platforms influencing the perception and adoption of drone technology in fire service and beyond?
Yeah, so I think, LinkedIn, I call it branding myself because obviously the fire brigade will enter me one day and I'm going to go into the private industry. So I'm trying to showcase not only what I'm doing, but what the fire brigade is doing. So it's a two-pronged thing. This is what the fire brigade are using in London. This is what I'm going to be doing, taking into the private world when I retire. But if you go on LinkedIn, again, as I say, the world is just really big, but actually the people within the drone industry, there's so many key players and you know a lot of them. And I think the social media is really important to just see what is going on. That's how we know of the people like the Toms in this world that are doing this stuff with us. This is how we know, what the drone responders are doing in the States. But also I don't use Facebook as much for drone stuff, but what I am aware of is that actually public perception of what drones are being used for is also very important. So when we very first used them on the fireground, and again, this is going to sound bad, but this is the UK, they're like, are you the police? Are you the police flying drones? Like, no, that's it, that big red fire engine, that's us. But public automatically think drone in the air, they must be looking at us. I said, the drone is actually for the fire. And I'll take time out and talk to these people as well, because again, it's about educating. So they'll tell a load of other people, oh, actually they're using drones for fires. But what has everyone else got in their hands while we're at these fires? They're just doing that all the time. They're recording us.
You make such a valuable point too. It's as if it's even like a responsibility for public and society to actually engage in seeing maybe this information that you're posting and so on, and showing like, yes, we're launching the drone, we're flying straight to the fire, we're looking at the fire. Look at this incredible data and situational awareness that we're gaining from this. Please look at this. We're not looking in your window inside your house. We're looking at the fire.
Exactly. But even the police, like we do a lot of missing persons incidents. And I think at least one person will know of someone who's gone missing. And then it's about, this is the work that drones are doing. This is a good thing. We can now hopefully find this person a lot quicker than if you had to put people on foot to go and from. So it's about the positives of the drone world that we need to push out there for public, and then obviously we're amongst each other. So it's quite, as I say, two prongs for the media, really.
Well said. Well, we're starting to close a bit of our kind of wrap up time here for our podcast. I have a couple more closing questions to ask you. You were making jokes about falling on a snowboard and getting older. As you approach retirement in the next few years and work on initiatives like UK AERO, what legacy do you hope to have with the London Fire Brigade and a broader firefighting community regarding the use of drones?
So it's a funny legacy. I look upon it because you sit in your office and you think, what did I bring to this service? But then I think, do you know what? The drones for me, I was given that. That was a golden chalice. It was just amazing to have that opportunity to change something in the fire service, to walk away and say, you've made a change. So I implemented that along with Simon. And then from that day onwards, drones will always be used in the fire service. So if it saves a life, it's valuable. If it saves a firefighter's life, invaluable. And the fact that you implemented that, you set the standard, and then you forever push that capability to be the best version of itself. To leave that and retire and say, I did that, no one else can say this. And so that, for me, is, really quite amazing to think that I've done that with, obviously, other people's support. But also the legacy is that when you're in a lead position, so, who's the drone lead of London? Well, we'll speak to him. So loads of people contact you about, how do I start up drone? How do I do a drone team? And I'm like, if I can help you on your journeys, then that makes me even feel better and fuzzy. Do you know what I mean? So that's your lead. That, again, is your lasting legacy, that you've hopefully helped another 5 or 6 drone teams on their journeys. So that is your legacy. And that's why I want to do it for this crew, because I want to continue that good work of help and support.
Lee Newman's legacy, implementing drone into the fire brigade. That's a wonderful thing. It's like when we're looking so far in the future and you look back and you're like, oh, wow, this guy brought the axe. No, Lee brought drone. No, it is a legacy there. For those looking to follow in your footsteps, particular in the integration of technology within emergency services, what key piece of advice would you offer to ensure that they're successful and advocate for the implementation of drone programs?
Never give up trying, because it is hard. A lasting statement in my head from my boss that's retired is, to get to the end of a project, it's like walking through a vat of treacle. You get in and it is just hard to get through, and you have to push and push and push through to get to the end. And there has not been a true word spoken, because as much as these drones are successful and they bring success to incidents and save lives, you have to try and integrate them into a big organization that's got so much more going on than just your drone world. So you have to be persistent and keep selling it as a big win and proving that capability. And if you continue to do that, then you should have success in your end game.
Well, Lee, that's all the questions we have for you today. So it's time to pass the mic back to you for this shameless plug on UK AERO or something else interesting. How else can these listeners engage with you if they'd like to reach out?
We're going to have our first official event next year in April, hopefully. It's the United Kingdom Emergency Robotics Responders Organisation. It's basically to bring everybody together, like what is happening around the world in different groups, to share the information and then make everyone wiser for it, and to spread new ways of doing stuff and introducing new technology. I will be setting up a LinkedIn account, which I'll be sharing this information through. There will be a website, and we will be sharing other drone responders, Sarah and IDO, his groups on there as well, because we're all basically working together to show this global information.
Awesome. Well, real excited for this. We can't wait to also help promote and show this off. It's an amazing, again, building that community across the pond, across the world, wherever it is, with all of this emerging technology. So, Lee, thanks again for taking the time to visit with us today and sharing your insights. And thanks everyone on the internet for listening to DroneCast. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you very much.
DroneCast, Rethinking Public Safety One Drone at a Time, is brought to you by DroneSense. To find out more about DroneSense and how our comprehensive situational awareness platform can help you fly, share, and manage your drone program, please visit DroneSense.com. That's DroneSense.com. And then make sure to search for DroneCast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that podcasts are found. Please don't forget to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at DroneSense, thanks for listening.